Tonight on Man Alive, struggle, courage, and love. It's all there in the life of Lucille Teasdale.
I took the risk and I was unlucky.
Her life has been romantic, adventuresome, and very courageous. Lucille Teasdale's story may one day become a Canadian legend. Until now, she's been better known abroad than she is at home. For 33 years, Dr. Lucille Teasdale worked in the hospital she and her husband built in northern Uganda. 33 years of chaos, conflict, and civil war. Now she faces her last big battle. Lucille Teasdale has AIDS. It's been a long time, but finally Lucille Teasdale is back where she belongs. After months of medical treatment, she's home, and it's a celebration. The women had worried they'd never see their doctor again. Now they will look after her. They've brought her a sign of good luck, a branch from a sacred tree. Lucille needs it. 9 years ago, she found out she had AIDS. At 65, each day is a gift. They are midwives and village nurses. For 33 years, Lucille has healed them and trained them here on the plains of northern Uganda. This is the center of Africa. It's also been the center of events which the people here recall with horror. Lucille is from Montreal, but home is the hospital she's built together with her husband near the small town of Gulu. Like them, it's part Africa, part Europe, part Canada. Doctors say it's the best hospital in Central Africa. In Uganda's years of despair, even the healthy people came here for protection. They called it the Hospital of Hope. These are among the most vulnerable people in the world. Lucille has given 14 hours a day for more than 30 years. This is not a job.
I thought that medicine is not a profession. Medicine should be a vocation. It should be a way to dedicate ourselves to the people, not like any other profession, not like any other job. So if you do that, why not do this for those who are more in need?
Lucille is here to share this man's dream. Piero Corti moved here from Italy because he had a pact with God. He's obsessed by his cause.
Listen, I'm still waiting the list. I'm still waiting the list of the instruments. The new instrument sister gave to you. Eh?
I've told sister in charge. She said she has made the list, but she didn't want to.
Yeah. What about in 1 month's time or two? It takes 1 month or two to write four lines. You tell her tomorrow I want it. That's okay? All right.
Piero has had 2 heart attacks. At 69, he too takes every new day as a gift. He lives for Lucille and to ensure that their legacy will last. The pulse of St. Mary's Hospital can be felt here. The courtyard is waiting room and living quarters for family members because no patient comes alone. Relatives bring their own supplies and stay for weeks if needed. They do the laundry and cook the patient's food. Doing the rounds, too, is an African affair. Teaching has been as important as healing since Piero and Lucille arrived. They have trained dozens of interns from Uganda's only university. There are 15 working here now.
Yes, this
One doctor in particular has become close. Dr. Matthew Laquia has been here for 12 years because, he says, of the way the hospital has always worked.
It put the patient first. I mean, you have other things, your needs and so on, but the patient was first. So whatever you do, you are doing for the patient. And I think that tradition is what has kept a hospital to follow a certain line.
People have lived on this plain since the beginning of humanity. Life moves with the sun and the seasons. At the hospital, the ritual is a different one. 8 in the morning, breakfast, and the BBC. The shortwave is Piero and Lucille's window on the world. In Gulu, there's no TV, phone service is fragile, and the city is a day's drive away. There's maple syrup with the fruit, but this is a different universe from the Montreal of 1929, where Lucille was born. It was the beginning of the Depression, and the songs of Avant kindled the hopes of the East End neighborhood. But the Teasdales were a privileged family, with a chalet on the river and ambitions for their children. At the age of 8, Lucille was sent to boarding school. There, by the age of 12, she had already decided she wanted to be a doctor in a poor country. But Lucille was a headstrong girl who often got into trouble with the nuns. She had her little sister Lise worried.
Moi, j'ai été au pensionnat avec elle, là, puis c'était une tête forte qu'on l'appelait, puis elle était presque mise dehors du pensionnat.
Les bonnes sœurs,
elle s'est sauvée du pensionnat, puis c'était un mouton noir. Et parce que quand elle voulait quelque chose, qu'elle disait que le dimanche, elle voulait sortir, elle voulait sortir.
Lucille got past the nuns. She went on to medical school and became an intern at Montreal's Saint-Justine Children's Hospital. She was set on becoming a surgeon. But medicine was a man's world, nowhere more so than in the operating room. It was there she first met a handsome young doctor from Milan, Italy.
You know, it's a long time ago, 1955.
Piero Corti was in Montreal to specialize.
I remember about other interns and doctors talking about Lucille. Lucille has decided to start in surgery, take the surgical specialty. Everybody was a bit, upset. At that time, it was not common for a woman like that. But particularly so with Lucille because she was a really nice girl.
But the attractive young woman that had caught his eye was also stubbornly determined. She completed her surgical training, but when she applied for work, she wrote to 20 hospitals, she was turned down flat. No one wanted a woman surgeon. There was one other woman doctor at Saint-Justine at the time. As an immigrant from Europe, Gloria Gelio had fought a battle to have her diploma accepted. Now she watched Lucille fight a different kind of battle and stirs certain sentiments in the hospital corridors.
Envy. She was a very good resident. She was ready to work long hours, even at that time, and she never refused to help somebody, patient or colleague. And seeing that a woman can, to a certain extent, be as good as a man could evoke in some people a kind of reaction which is not very positive.
Then Lucille found the cause that needed all her skills and all her determination. It was the chance to live out her childhood dream to be a doctor in the Third World. The job offer was irresistible, the savannah of East Africa. She would work in exchange for airfare and cigarettes. The invitation came from the handsome Italian. Piero Corti dreamed of opening a clinic. He needed a surgeon.
I was looking for someone who was going really to join me in that kind of adventure. It happened to have the possibility of asking Lucille to come and help me to do surgery for the first few months in Gulu, while she was in France. She said yes, and of course, I didn't think much about it, but the idea from the very beginning was that that's probably going to be my wife if she accepts.
If you ask Piero, he will tell you that I fell in love with Africa. And then, in a way, to stay in Africa, I decided to marry him. That is his interpretation, but it's not mine, you know. And but slowly, working together, you know, it was not the
love at first sight.
Love at first sight. Staying together, working together, and we decided that we both enjoy the place, the work we were doing, and then we decided that we were also fit one for the other, so we decided to get married.
They were married in the tiny chapel at St. Mary's Hospital. It was 1961, and for expatriates, Uganda was still a lush paradise, the pearl of Britain's African colonies. Every day was an adventure. They were a true team, he with the vision of what could be done in this place, she with the practical sense of getting it done. Lucille and Piero's hospital grew from 40 beds to 60, then 100, 200, 400. He raised money from family, friends, and churches. She operated and began an outpatient clinic. Gloria Geliou came to visit in 1963.
I do remember that they were engrossed with their work, both of them. I remember Dr. Corti, Piero, presenting to us his ideas about a new hospital, about a maternity ward, about a school for nurses at that time. It did not exist. It was only in their minds.
About the intrinsic factor.
But 25 years ago, with help from Canada, they started the first nursing school outside the capital.
We have discussed.
For many young Acholi women, this is still the only way out of the village. Then came the programs to train midwives and community health teams. They built a network of small clinics in the bush across northern Uganda. Hundreds of thousands of children felt the presence of Lucille and Piero's hospital. By 1962, Uganda becomes independent. There's great joy. At St. Mary's Hospital, more happiness, Lucille gives birth to a baby girl. Dominique is a blonde little African who keeps a pet gazelle. Margaret Conroy, a missionary teacher from Newfoundland, remembers this period well.
Just a year after I'm in, and the momentum was still there. You could get anything in Uganda, anything in Kampala. Economically, it was at the peak, and people called it the Pearl of Africa, remember, as in the anthem, and really believed it was then the Pearl of Africa. Beautiful place, lovely people, place that tourists flocked to in those days. Those were the wonderful days after independence.
But paradise is coming apart. Uganda is being polarized, northerners versus southerners. By 1971, a military officer gets the message. Power flows from the barrel of a gun. He gives himself supreme authority, president for life, Idi Amin Dada. He's a butcher who eliminates his adversaries. He personally leads public executions. The reign of the man they call Big Daddy will cost 300,000 Ugandan lives. Lucille and Piero must make a painful decision. Uganda has become too dangerous for a child. Dominique thinks of herself as a little Acholi, but she's sent away to stay with relatives in Italy.
This was terrible, I tell you. When I came back during, when I was resting at home and thinking about her so far away, I must tell you that I've been crying a lot. And my husband was a bit shouting at me, saying, what do you want to cry for? This is normal life. The children we made, they are made to go away. I said, yes, but for God, they don't go away so early during the life. But he was saying like that just to try to cheer me up. Anyway. But it was really a terrible situation for me, terrible, terrible.
From now on, they will only see Dominique on holidays. 1979, Idi Amin invades Tanzania, which counterattacks. Desperate soldiers are everywhere. Margaret Conroy, too, is caught in the chaos.
But it was a time of complete chaos, when the roads were extremely dangerous and people were being killed for nothing. You know, robbers everywhere. Because it wasn't just the armies, it was also people taking advantage of the chaos, you know. So it was a time of terrible chaos, and I think Gulu was right in the middle of the worst of it.
The hospital is completely cut off. Wounded soldiers and civilians flood the place. Others come to plunder. Most of the staff have fled. By the light of a small generator, Lucille operates round the clock. When the worst is over, she writes home.
Gulu is now a ghost city, deserted and devastated. We have been lucky enough. In the looting, our hospital only lost a lorry, 3 ambulances, a car, drug supplies and surgical equipment. What next? What shall we do? For the moment, we have no choice. We are the only doctors in Gulu.
In Montreal, Lucille had trained to work with children. In Uganda, she becomes a war surgeon. Her patients are torn apart by shrapnel and explosive bullets. Their bone fragments are like razor blades. Lucille cuts her hands again and again, but keeps operating. This was before anyone knew of AIDS.
It happened, we cannot have a proof, but it is certainly due to the fact that I have been, before the virus was discovered and before we knew the danger of contact with blood, I have been contaminated certainly during my war surgery. I did more than 1,000 gunshot wound operation.
In 1994, an uneasy peace has returned to northern Uganda. Twice a week, the train brings patients from all over the country to St. Mary's Hospital. Others have made their way from Zaire, Sudan, even Rwanda. The largest group carry a disease that can be treated but not healed. AIDS is decimating this part of Africa. But still working on the ward, 10 years after she was diagnosed, Lucille refuses to give up. She's stubbornly beaten back pneumonia and cancer. With each attack, she gets weaker, but she refuses to see herself as special, never mind brave.
I must say that I have never made a tragedy of this disease. You know, we have got this one. Somebody else could get a cancer, somebody else could get hepatitis. This, you know, this is the risk of the profession. Not every profession, but many professions are having their own risk and does not prevent people to go on doing their profession. Remember how many journalists died in Yugoslavia this war. I think it's more than 100, I don't know. I don't have the figure, but it's very high. But they keep on, they don't stop going to do their job because of that. So in surgery, especially, but also in medicine, there is a certain risk, and we must take this risk if you want to do your job. So I took the risk, and I was unlucky.
The man who has loved her for 35 years suffers, but he won't try to keep her from working.
I know that for her, it is better like this. With this, she's fighting her weakness, her disease. It's the real way, and this was exactly what could be expected from her.
On the equator, the sun rises at exactly the same time, year-round. In this remote region, basic diseases such as malaria and cholera are still common killers. Doctors are still desperately needed. The future of their hospital has become the Cortis' greatest concern. Every other day they have radio contact with the country where they have many supporters, Italy. The Italian government and the Catholic Church have given them the means to expand St. Mary's. Italy's media made them heroes. There's a cartoon based on their lives, love, war, and dangerous living. Their reputation helps them set up a foundation headed by their daughter, who now lives in Milan. But on the ground, the hospital must count on Uganda and its doctors, especially Matthew Lucia. Electrocardiogram in hand, it's he who looks after Piero's health and the Cortis legacy.
They were really committed and they believed in what they were doing, and this is the difference with the other doctors. I mean, the other doctors were here for a short time to do their work, they were going away. But these two, Piero and Lucille, they were believing in what they were doing. They had total commitment, and they were ready to give anything for what they were doing.
Her years here have made Lucille a believer in what she calls moral strength.
Moral strength, I think you have or you don't have. If you have it, you know, you go on facing the situation day by day. And I reach a point where you say, now this is too much, I cannot take anymore. You feel like make your suitcase and go back home. But if you are convinced of what you are doing, you must consider that if we go away, if we went away, then everything would have collapsed.
Lucille's devotion to the people of Gulu and to her life partner, Piero, has inspired generations of young Africans who want to be just like her.
To live with a man, to share his work, to share his dream, and to stay together, for me, this is ideal condition. And I wish everybody to be as happy as I am, you know.